You stumble over one sentence in the 9 a.m. meeting. Just one. You meant to say third quarter, but the words tangled together, and the room went quiet for half a second. Now it's 11 at night, and you're lying awake playing that half second on a painful, endless loop. Here's the strange part about that loop. The coworker sitting right beside you, she forgot your mistake before she even went to lunch. You are paying rent in your own head for a blunder the one person who actually witnessed it can't even recall. If you've spent hours agonizing over a tiny work cringe while everyone else moved on in minutes, you aren't broken. You've just crashed into a reliable quirk of the human mind known as the spotlight effect. The intense glare you feel burning down on you during those moments is a mental fabrication. We imagine an audience that simply isn't paying the attention we think they are. To see exactly how far off our mental estimates are, we can look at an experiment from the late 1990s. Researchers at Cornell University decided to put a hard number on this distortion. They did something slightly cruel. They asked college students to put on a t-shirt featuring a large picture of Barry Manilow, making it deeply embarrassing to a room full of young students, and then had them walk into a room where others were already seated. This chart shows the gap between what we feel and what others see. Students guessed half the room noticed their shirt. In reality, only a quarter recalled it, and that small fraction mostly forgot it by the parking lot. The memory vanished almost immediately. Humans reliably double the amount of attention they believe is landing on them. We assume the room is watching closely, when the truth is that the spotlight is, more often than not, switched off. So if the audience isn't actually watching, why does your brain keep insisting that they are? It comes down to something researchers call egocentric bias. You have a front row seat to every thought, every flush of embarrassment, and every word that came out wrong. Your own internal experience is loud and constant. When we try to imagine how we look to someone else, we start from that loud inner picture and fail to adjust for their perspective. We wrongly assume they are receiving our internal broadcast at the exact same volume. But the people in that meeting with you are starring in their own movies. They aren't studying you. They're wondering if they sounded smart a minute ago, or worrying about their own deadlines and typos. This means the audience you fear is barely an audience at all. They are too busy being self-conscious to notice you being self-conscious. This distortion is compounded by a second illusion, the belief that your internal anxiety is written all over your face. Researchers call this the illusion of transparency, the false certainty that your racing thoughts and pounding heart are broadcasting in high definition to the entire room. We see the real-world consequence when someone like Maya, a sharp analyst, has a genuinely good idea but refuses to speak up. She can feel the heat of the spotlight before she's even opened her mouth, so she swallows the contribution to avoid imagined judgment. This tax follows us into our digital work. We reread Slack messages 4 times, stay muted on Zoom to avoid looking weird, and over-apologize for minor typos that a busy coworker would barely even register. Constantly scanning for how you're being perceived is a quiet, grinding tax on your daily energy. It chips away at job satisfaction and forces you to treat every interaction as a performance being graded in real time. Managing an audience that isn't paying attention leads to a slow burnout that sneaks up on the most conscientious people. They wear themselves down, bracing for a judgment that mostly isn't coming. If a distorted belief is causing this massive drain on your career, can simply correcting that belief change the outcome? In the early 2000s, researchers tested this with people terrified of public speaking. Right before the speakers took the stage, the researchers simply told them the truth. They explained the illusion of transparency, telling the speakers that while they would feel nervous, the audience would barely be able to tell. Without any specialized training, simply possessing this knowledge changed the results. The speakers who heard the truth were rated as giving better speeches. They felt more confident their nerves weren't showing, which freed them up to actually perform. The takeaway is hopeful. You don't have to become a bolder person. You just have to realize that the spotlight is inherently dimmer than it feels. When a cringe moment starts looping at 11 p.m., you can break the cycle by stepping outside your own head. Visualize the scene from a third-person, wide-angle perspective. Seeing yourself from across the room like a character in a film provides the distance needed to shrink the embarrassment. Next, apply the coworker test. If a colleague had made that exact same stumble, would you even remember it 24 hours later? If their mistake is forgettable to you, then yours is just as forgettable to them. Finally, starve the self-consciousness by pointing your focus outward. Deliberately redirect your attention to the task or the person speaking. Self-consciousness needs you to be looking at yourself to survive. Looking at the work makes it fade. The liberating truth is that the room is not recording your mistakes. The people around you are completely wrapped up in their own movies, their own typos, and their own private spotlights. Once you stop paying rent on an audience that was never in the seats, the risk of speaking up becomes much smaller. You get to be a little braver, because the room you were so afraid of is, and always has been, looking the other way.